Okay, this is Justin with Targeting Alpha, back with a video on Fibonacci levels. So this is an indicator or a tool used to develop support of a pullback of a stock. So it is a tool that I pretty much use on a daily basis in most of my trades. It can be used on a daily time frame and really any time frame. It also transitions from one time frame to another, unlike some indicators like EMAs and RSI. As you go from different time frame to time frame, that kind of changes, and Fibonacci levels pretty much stay true to any time frame that you look at, which it makes them nice. Now, you shouldn't use Fibonacci only. I don't think you would be very successful only using Fibonacci, but I do believe it is a good tool to have to line up with other indicators. As I try to stress in all the videos that I do on any indicator or any strategy, is you always want to have more than one strategy playing out in the stock that you're in, whether that be just the candles themselves or the patterns or the RSI or Bollinger Bands or EMAs or Fibonacci. Whatever it is, you want to have confirmation with several indicators to really give you a higher probability. So if you haven't watched some of my other videos on strategies for trading, you may want to check those out too. But Fibonacci levels are a really good tool to use. So I will go through and break down on a chart how you use those real time, but I did want to take a moment to kind of go over where Fibonacci levels are derived from, and where they're found, and some different things that you may not have known. So I will link in the description if you would like to go ahead and move forward to the charting portion of this, but let's go ahead and just get into this here. So basically, how the numbers are developed is its sequence is developed by adding the two numbers that precede. So starting with 0 plus 1 equals 1, 1 plus 1 equals 2, 2 plus 3, 5, 5 plus 3, 8, and so on to infinity. Now, each number is approximately 1.618 greater than the next, which is phi in mathematics. And it's also called the golden ratio, which some of you may have known or already known. Now, the golden ratio is found in many different places. I'm sure you have seen this before, but that's kind of where Fibonacci levels do come from. Now, just getting into some of the places that you'll find golden ratios is first hurricanes. This is a picture of Hurricane Dorian. You can see it followed a pattern of a Fibonacci, as well as some shells. And then getting away from nature, there's also trees. The way that the branches split will be Fibonacci mathematics, and you'll have flowers typically with 3 or 5 or however many petals. They're usually in line with Fibonacci numbers. That's why it's very rare to find a 4-leaf clover, because usually they're 3 or 5. The next place you're going to find it is in artwork. Leonardo da Vinci, he was a big proponent of using Fibonacci levels in his artwork. You can see he did use it here in the Mona Lisa. And the next place you'll find is going to be our DNA. So our DNA strand is 34 angstroms long by 21 angstroms wide, and that equates to 1.619, which is very close to the golden ratio. You also find it in marketing and some daily items. You can see here a credit card is pretty close to a Fibonacci. Also a pack of smokes, as well as many other items. I'm sure like a tablet would be pretty close, a magazine pretty close. This Fibonacci or golden ratio really plays out in nature, and also companies do use it to market to you. But it also plays out in stocks and how the movement of a stock is. So just to give you a background, the numbers for Fibonacci are 0, 23.6, 38.2, 61.8, and then 78.6 and 161.8. Now, 50 is on the Fibonacci tool. It's not necessarily a Fibonacci level, but it is a number that many traders use to watch for change of direction. So it's always good to watch that level. Heading back to the main three, the 23.6, it's basically developed by dividing the number in the sequence by the number 3 positions to the right. The 38.2 is developed by dividing the number 2 positions to the right, and the 61.8 is developed by dividing the number 1 position to the right. Now, the 61.8 level is probably the most important level in Fibonacci. It could be said that that's the good deal level. When a stock does pull back 61.8% and holds, and it lines up with other indications, it can really get you a nice entry into a position. But the 23.6 and the 38.2 also are very important for spotting the strength of a trend. So I will get more into that in the charting portion of this. Now, the 78.6, that's derived. It's the square root of 0.618. And now it's not used as frequently as the others, but you can sometimes find support at this level. And then you got your 161.8, and that's obviously the golden ratio. That's if the stock does pull back beyond 100% and starts to break down through that bottom support. Sometimes you can find that next level of support being the 161.8. Now, let's go ahead and pull up some charts here, and we'll kind of get into a little bit of charting of the Fibonacci level. All right, so the first stock we're going to look at here is going to be CRISPR, or CRSP. Now, if you don't have the Fibonacci tool in your chart, you go up to your drawing set, drawing tools, and then click on this percentage sign, which is going to be your Fibonacci retracement. Now, once you draw a Fibonacci level on your chart, you're going to see different colors here, typically. Now, I do like to right-click and edit my properties and change some of these levels to different colors. So that just allows you to, on a chart, if you cannot see, there's a candlestick covering up one of the levels there, you kind of know what level you're at just based on the color or the color preceding it. So I do like to change those up. You can make these lines thicker. You can kind of do whatever you want here, and then just make sure you save as the default. So when you pull up the retracement tool again, it'll be saved out that way. Now, just pulling up this chart here, I'll just talk about some of the ways that this is used. So you're going to want to drag from the start of a move or a reversal and drag up to the top of that move. Now, in this scenario, I've dragged it all the way to the top of this big move just to show you that the retracement off of this was 23.6. And it definitely found support and rejected off that level to the upside pretty significantly. Now, you can also zoom in on these time frames and you can draw a Fibonacci level. up from this low to this high. You can see that it pulled back to the 50%. And so just kind of as the stock is moving up, you can just delete or remove the drawing, start at the bottom of the move and move up to the next level. And that's just going to give you real-time action on if it starts to pull back any significant amount, some levels to watch for. So the way I like to look at these levels as the 23.6 and the 38.2, if a stock moves up and it retraces back to 23.6 and moves up, that to me signals a very strong trend. And the likelihood of if it breaks through, like a bull flag pattern or a ascending triangle pattern or just makes a new high, usually there's going to be a good amount of follow through. Not always, but to me the 23.6 really signifies a strong trend. The 38.2 is also a good trend. So if you have a pullback on a level of 38.2, you still have yourself a pretty good upwards trend. Now, once you start to break down that 38.2, usually that can signal a trend reversal. Now, the next support levels you're going to be looking for is the 50 and that 61.8. Those will be like your buying levels or potential buy levels. The 23.6 and the 38.2, I don't necessarily like to buy on those levels, but those kind of give me the trend pattern is heading bullish. And then I use my other indicators to enter into that trade once, the other patterns and things develop. But the 61.8 can be a really good spot to buy into, especially if you see a pretty hard rejection off that level. It can signify a really good deal on a stock that's moving up. And you can see that 61.8 retracement play out a lot of times in a stock that's really had a strong upward move, whether it's good news came out and it really made a significant move to the upside with volume. Usually that 61.8 is where it will fade to. Now sometimes it will break down that level, but if you get in at 61.8 and you can create a pretty tight stop and it holds that level, then a lot of times that leaves you in a pretty good shape if it does go up even for a double top or a continuation of the trend. So I just want to show you there on CRISPR. Next chart I'll pull up here is going to be DERM. Now let me go ahead and remove these. So from the start of this move here to the end, you can kind of see that it held up this 61.8 level. Now, it did post in some wicks below it, but most of these wicks closed above on a daily the 61.8 area, which signified that it could be making a trend reversal. Now it came up here to the 50 and was rejected. Then this day pushed up through the 50 and almost made it up to the 38.2 before rolling over. Now there is several ways to draw the Fibonacci levels. You can go from the beginning of this move. Some also different ways you want to look at this is if you had a strong parabolic move like this candle, this daily candle, you can also draw it from that level to the top And you can see here this 78.6 level really held those wicks and rejected those wicks and pushed up into this 50% area and was rejected. So you can also draw these in different ways, and every different trader would maybe do it a little differently, but I like to always try both ways, because some people will draw from the beginning of the very beginning of that move, that trend reversal spot here in the 525 area. Some would draw it right from that parabolic move. So with that said, you can kind of look at both levels and see, as the stock touches each level, how it's reacting. And you can bring this into a shorter time frame here, and you can kind of see this level right here is kind of the more consistent level, I believe. So you can see that this is really kind of finding support and finding resistance at these levels. When it breaks down below these levels, you're seeing nice sell through, getting nice support here, resistance here, resistance here. But it's just a good tool to use to spot probabilities. Now, you can also, like for instance on this one, I drew this trend line here. You could see this pull back right here to the 78.6 and bounced off of it twice and 3 times and 4 times, and then it broke out through this trend line. So you had a higher probability there of that move up to this next level, because you're combining that with a pattern in your chart. And you can also look at other things like your moving averages and everything else. But heading over here to this next chart here, let me pull this up on okay, there we go. I was on the wrong ticker. So pulling into this level here, you can see from this move here up, you had a nice pullback right to the 61.8. And then you got your follow through into that next level. Pulling into this level from here, you're getting a nice support here at this 38.2, which to me is signifying a stronger trend. So kind of moving this into a shorter time frame here. You can see that it's holding this 38.2 area. It's broke out of this trend, retested the trend twice, and it's still holding up that area. So this could be a potential, play. It's breaking out of this trend, heading up to this 23.6 area. So if we can get up over that 23.6 in, real market hours, not after hours, then you could see a move back up to this $5.19 range with a stop just under it. Next up is Cloudera. Let me back this out to a daily chart here. So here's another one. Your 100% move pulled back to 23.6 and it bounced, pulled back, broke down into that next level of 38.2. Broke back up, trying to hold this 23.6 area. It's breaking out of a trend, and now it's starting to bounce. So this is either going to, in my opinion, head back down here to a triple bottom and fail, or reverse off that level, or it's going to hold up this trend line here, and getting back up over this level, you could see this play back up to your 0% level. Next one is going to be ICPT. Let me go ahead and just draw some Fibonacci here for you. So here you go. There's a 38.2. Move back to the 38.2 here. And then you can extend that time frame up to your next top, and you can see it trying to hold that 38.2 level, and you can see it getting rejected right here off of this 23.6, breaking up through, finding support at it, breaking down, then breaking right back up to the 0% after a move down to this 38.2. So as you can see, these tend to kind of bounce around in these levels, and you can even move forward off of this. So if you moved up to this next level, you saw a pullback to the 23.6, so that really signified a strong trend. You had a break out of that trend line, and this was a nice volume, or I guess not a lot of volume, but a nice push through. Comes back and tests that level at a pivot, and then makes your next leg up. So anytime you can get a stock just pulling back these small amounts on the full move of 23.6, that usually signifies there will be another strong move, and you can see after it retested that level, it really made a strong move up. Now you can also do this down to the short side too as well, so you can drop your Fibonacci level from here. You can see down to 0, and it pulls right back to 61.8, which may be a good position to short. In this case, it would have been. You see it gain support back here at 23.6, but you guys get the point. So you're just looking for the levels that it finds support, or if on the short side, resistance of these levels. And when this stuff lines up with previous support and resistance, or trend lines, or any other indicator that you're using, these tend to work really well. So I hope this video was helpful in breaking down Fibonacci. If you guys do have questions, feel free to comment in the comments below, and like this video if this was helpful for you. And so definitely subscribe to my channel. I'm going to come out with a lot more videos on the indicator series. I've done so far RSI, and this was my next one, but we'll go further in detail to that. Also, comment any suggestions you guys have on videos that you'd like to see. Maybe there's something that, a question you have that hasn't been answered as in depth as you'd like, or you still have questions on. Feel free to put those in the comments below, and I'll try to address that stuff in future videos. But you guys have a great rest of your day today, and good luck on your trading tomorrow, and we'll talk to you next time.